Occupy Wall Street. It's a movement, and it's a big one. Whether you agree with the politics behind it or not, it's hard to ignore the fact that Occupy has taken motion and won't be going away anytime soon. You might not like it, or then again you might, but either way, these guys are here to stay. There are a couple of distinct reasons why a social movement like this is possible. Firstly, we, being the people of the developed world, are in the middle of an economic downturn and a borderline financial crisis. And it is generally accepted that crises of any kind have historically been great opportunities for change. Emotions and tensions are high, and the masses are dissatisfied with the way that they are being treated by some higher force. In some cases, the government, in this case, the invisible hand of the economy, embodied by the bankers of Wall Street. That's the first one. Occupy has an easy target and an easy goal. Their mission, although sometimes completely unrealistic, is easily understandable and approachable by your average common man. It's simple and it's appealing. That's the first thing that makes it a successful social movement. The second half of it is all about communication and accessibility. Occupy stands out because it has spent so much time in the news this past year. The more time it spent as a figure in the media, the more people took its side, and the larger and more frequent the protests became. It spread just as soon as it was made prominent. This is important. Being able to have the media spread your movement's message is critical. Whether they show the movement in a positive light or not, it allows for widespread access to your values and makes it possible for people all across the country to become unified with you and your definition of social justice. However, it does help when the media is on your side. We all know that journalism is technically supposed to be impartial, but we also all know that this has never once in history been the case. When a newscaster article is in favor of perhaps not Occupy Wall Street's revolutionary spirit, but at least its values and its ideas, it can be much more persuasive than if it was to bad talk. That's obvious. It helps to be shown in a good light by anyone. However, what makes a huge difference is when a movement gets a celebrity endorsement. That's why popular music plays such a monumental role in social movements like this one. Music has huge wide appeal and influence over the masses, and it can perfectly capture the true spirit and philosophy of a movement of any kind. It invokes powerful emotions and calls for people to join its cause. It is arguably the most important force in any social movement, and in any period of social change. It can, has, and will undoubtedly in the future change the world. Throughout American history especially, whole genres of music have become almost synonymous with specific periods of time. For example, many American folk songs are reminiscent of 1955 to 1968, when they played a huge role in the African American civil rights movement. Figures like Pete Seeger or Bob Dylan, as well as groups like the Staple Singers, began to spread the message of equality in songs like We Shall Overcome and Blowin' in the Wind. One gave a vision to the future, and the other raised questions of the many injustices and flaws in the society of the time, but both took a stance and helped to raise awareness of issues important to the singers. Songs like these were anthems of a revolution. They put thousands of thoughts into 3 minutes of pure emotional poetry. They could get stuck in your head and make you think for hours, or you could sing them with your friends and family, hoping and praying for change. They symbolized everything that the movement stood for. They unified people, and they brought the issues of the day to a whole new level, safely and peacefully. They really did bring people to the civil rights cause, and in the end they helped it succeed. The world is truly a different place because of these songs. Another huge period of change in American history is the famed counterculture movement of the 1960s, a period of time where much of the world's youth abandoned the traditional social norms, began experimenting with art and music, though perhaps most notably hallucinogenic drugs, and begged for peace, love, and understanding. The hippie movement reached out to nature. It looked for unity and equality, and it was completely embodied by the music that accompanied it. Psychedelic music used exotic instruments, complex lyrics, and bizarre effects to make unique, original music, and it exemplified the spirit of the counterculture. Everything was new. It was strange, it was alien, and it encouraged the listener to embrace it and everything that it stood for. The Jimi Hendrix Experience, the Beatles, Cream, the Doors, they all took huge steps for all of music and all of society with their new array of sounds. The world would never be the same after the hippies came through. They changed every perspective, and they built a new world with a whole new realm of possibilities. One of the major groups to come out of this new, non-conformed world, of course, was the punks. Punk rock was simplicity. It was full of pure, genuine emotion, not shrouded by metaphors and complicated lyrics. It called back to the protest songs of the folk era, with basic, easy songs that took a stance and proved a point. The punk movement attacked hypocrisy and double standards, demanding workers' rights and fighting back against the oppressive higher classes. Punks were not musicians. They were just people who wanted something and knew how to get it. Punk rock spread quickly. It had a whole culture about it that people could identify with and subscribe to. And as a result, it was one of the most successful and notable movements of our recent history, as groups like The Clash and the Sex Pistols took the world by storm with their angry, anarchist lyrics and their violent, aggressive musical style. Punk changed music, and it changed the world, once again. Now, these are just a few of the many social movements throughout history in which pop music has played a critical role. This fact revolves much around the existence of the protest song, one of the most beautiful, passionate, and powerful genres of music in existence. Protest songs are always simple and always honest, and it's what makes them cut so deep and make such strong connections with their audience. A protest song is written purely to make a point, and it will always get straight to that point, not beating around the bush by being overly flowing or poetic. They are pure and they are beautiful, and they have huge influence over the fans and the listeners. It's hard to listen to a song with a genuine deep meaning without being moved, and protest songs have a tendency to do just that, move you. With their simplicity and their unbridled emotion, protest songs influence people and make them see things in a different light, absolutely embodying the spirit of social movements. Even though protest songs are particularly more influential than other kinds of music, pop culture in general has quite an impact on the youth of a society. No matter what its message is, pop music is a form of expression that can really influence and sway its consumers. Typically, the primary group that pop music caters to is young people, who can easily be molded while they grow into fully developed adults, and traditionally have been known to stand up for their beliefs in public forums, and be big supporters of social movements they connect with. This is why music helps so much with movements. It is extremely convincing, and it reaches enormous numbers of potential supporters. Oftentimes, people will pay money to receive what is essentially propaganda in song form. It's a positively optimal medium to get your message out. The best thing about music and social movements is, however, the fact that it is absolutely victimless and absolutely non-violent. It sends a clear, concise message across the country, on radios, on stereos, and in concert halls. It is straightforward, it is mainstream, and it could not be safer for everyone involved. I truly cannot think of a better form of protest in terms of convenience and success rates. Music keeps movements in check without hindering them in the least. It is a component that they would not be able to do without. So this brings us back to Occupy Wall Street, the original topic of this sermon, and a perfect modern-day example of a social movement. Music is representative of rights activists, hippies, and of punks, but how does it fit into Occupy's equation? Honestly, as of yet, it is unclear. Perhaps it hasn't been in full swing long enough for there to be loads of music associated with it, especially with the decreased speed of the music industry that has been taken on in recent years. But there are plenty of musicians who have been at Occupy rallies supporting and endorsing the cause, notably Rage Against the Machine's Tom Morello and Neutral Milk Hotel's Jeff Magnan. Additionally, and more recently, as rallies have dissipated a bit, there is one specific example of music associated with the movement that comes to mind. Bruce Springsteen recently released an album called Wrecking Ball, all about the economic recession, and filled with angry, accusing, and very emotional songs, including a collaboration with Morello that, although not directly connected to Occupy, holds true many of the same values. Now, there may be other less prominent examples already that I don't know of, but I expect that there will most definitely be more to come, as new albums and songs are completed and released in the coming year or so. With any luck, we will get a whole new genre of music out of it when it comes. All I know is that it will come. and Occupy will only resurface even stronger than before when it does. Music builds movements up, and it helps them take full effect. It is the most powerful force that acts in any social movement, because we love it, we appreciate it, and we can easily be persuaded. And we certainly won't be stopping anytime soon. Thank you.